Will McCloy is best known to triathlon fans as the voice behind the Arena Games and Super League Racing, for whom he's been commentating for over 5 years. But now he's also flying up the ranks of Aussie age group triathlon after a first outing at the World Triathlon Sprint Championships in Hamburg in mid-July, where he puked, fought walls, raced actual former elite champions before going through it all again in the relay. So, Will, welcome to the World Triathlon Podcast. How are you? Where are you?
I am in Sydney. I am recovered and I don't know if I'm rocketing up the rankings. Well, I guess I started at 0, so I'm rocketing up to the top 63 in my age group. What an achievement. I'm pretty happy with that, though.
Less so than your family and kids when you got back, by the sounds of it. There wasn't a huge sort of hero's welcome, unfortunately.
No, there never is, because I spend such a lot of time flying here and there, and my wife does as well. So there's that like welcome home daddy type scenario, just nothing. Last time I went away, it wasn't this time, but last time I went away, I was gone for 8 days. And when I came in the door, my daughter said, "Did you go to the gym?" Like, I've been gone for 8 days. Am I that surplus to requirements in this household that you just thought I'd popped out for an hour? Dear, oh dear. So no heroes welcome, but.
No, yeah, and you're host of the Short Shoot podcast, of course, as well. I don't know how you normally prepare for these things, but I've just taken the bins out, tidied up, feeling quite zen and ready to go. How's your day been so far?
Busy. Well, there's lots going on with all of our athletes at the moment, because I'm involved in some athlete management and bits and pieces as well. And obviously we're right in the guts of all of the racing going on in Europe. So it's been a busy day, but the kids are... I don't know where they are, which is always a good sign. And ready to go, mate. Ready to talk about my favourite subject, which is me. Well,
and also you in the context of Hamburg, which just happened 2 weeks ago, just shy of. As a man who puts triathlon into words, put that tunnel swim into words for us. How did you find that little 40-meter stretch of dark, dingy grimness?
I tell you what, I mean, it's going to be hard to talk about because I buried it so deep in my subconscious. The therapy has helped a lot, but it's nothing prepares you for that. So, like, when I saw, an article from Gwen Jorgensen saying, "Oh, it's not a fair place in there. Like, it wasn't a fair swim," I'm like, I totally understand you, Gwen. Gwen, you and me are on the same level. So, I mean, I think the occasion got to me as well. So, you line up there. You're in your wetsuit, you're overheating. The water is like warm brown coffee, and then everyone's like, it's very testosterone-y in the 40 to 44 age group as well. So there's a lot of kicking.
That particular age group perhaps is like there's quite a lot of proving yourself going on.
Yeah, it's the midlife crisis age group. Like, it's and there's a lot of elbows and knees and stern looks and words being said even before we even started. So, like, if you look at I went back and looked at my heart rate and stuff, and it goes up to like 180 in the first 15 seconds. Jeez. And it doesn't go down again. So,
and it's all contained in that tight wetsuit, right? So it's enhanced. Every beat is like you're feeling it through your entire being.
Yeah. So I go out there to the first 400, first 400, I was charging. I was like 1 minute 20 pace. I was like, yes, awesome. Totally blew the doors off. Got to the far buoy where there was no crowds. Just had a little breaststroke up there, which just keep that between you and me, because I was like, no one's around. I just need to just calm myself down. The way back was a lot slower, and then I could just see this. You can kind of hear and see the tunnel getting closer because you get all these people on top. It's so iconic, and I've been watching it every single year for years. But then when you're actually in the water, it's like, no, it's completely different. And then you go into this tunnel, and it's so dark and so much longer than you think. Like, when you're walking across the road, it's not that far, but when you're in the water, it's like 45 meters. It felt like I was in there for 2 days. I punched the wall like halfway because I got disorientated, swam straight at the wall, punched the wall, elbowed a guy.
Are you, heading in there? I'm thinking about what my instinct would be, the safety of a wall, not too many people around me, But actually, you're surrounded by people and a wall, which isn't going to move, and you're just going to crash into it and just...
I was trying to move the wall. But yes, I went to the side. I was like, all these people seem to be swimming faster than me. I need to move over. Because I just kept getting assaulted from behind over the top. But then the wall didn't move. I was like moving it out of the way, but it didn't want to go anywhere. And then coming back out into the light was like being reborn. I was like, Thank God, thank goodness. And then, then there's like 8 people helping me out of the water because obviously in age group racing, someone pulls you out of the water. And that's when my race started to get better. But that part was not, I'm not keen to experience that again until I do it again next year, hopefully.
All right, good. Well, yeah, an extra bit of therapy there as well. It's important to figure these things out. But I feel like all the elites needed it as well. Having to hit that moments from leaving the pontoon, right? Did you see much of the elites racing as well?
I did.
Like funneling in, and some kind of taking the left tunnel, some taking the right tunnel. There was one where I think only Gwen was the only one on the left tunnel. And we were like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And missed out all the melee and had probably like one of the best first bits of swims of her life because she just avoided all the nonsense. It was, yeah,
it's good. You need to be Cassandra Beaugrand like that. Like I've got this photo on my phone as I watched them take off from the pontoon, and within about 8 strokes, she's a full body length ahead of everybody else, and then it just gets further and further. And she had one of those weekends where she's just on. There's some weekends where she's not on. But she always says she has a talent. It's always there, but then sometimes it just all comes together, and she just never looked from the very beginning like anyone was ever going to beat her. Like Beth Potter had the only chance, but then even then you saw it. She just ran away with it. But her swim is just astonishing,
Yeah.
Like I put up a photo. What's that?
It's not even like typhoon arm speed. It's just reach, power, the whole shebang. Matt Hauser did similarly, I suppose. He was getting out in the clear water, but that's between the races, Cassandra didn't seem like any interaction with anything that was going on around her.
She's in the zone. I've heard about the zone. I've never been near it, but I hear that people get inside it. So next time I'm just going to sit there and just quietly, meditate too. I don't know what she's thinking about. I'll be thinking about when do I get food after this, and then hopefully I'll be in clear water. Well, I will be in clear water. We'll be at the back. So there's that. But like I posted this photo of Cassandra, like because I was standing there on the steps near the bridge on in the final race, and Cassandra was streets ahead within the first 30 meters. And I posted a photo. I'm like, this is Cassandra and this is everybody else. And then Georgia Taylor Brown texted me and she was like, she is an absolute animal. And I'm like, if Georgia Taylor Brown says that, then that is correct because, we know how good Georgia is, and hopefully she has a speedy recovery and comes back even better. But Cassandra was in the zone. So I've got to funnel a bit of that Frenchness.
Funnel of French. And you were stood on those steps, were you, on the side there? So you got like that kind of plumb view of it's a good atmosphere there, isn't it? Had you been in person to a Hamburg before?
Never, ever. No, I'd never been to Hamburg. I've been to plenty of places, other places in Germany for different reasons, but I've never been to Hamburg. And then when you realize that you're really in the center of the city and people if you had an event like that in the middle of Sydney, there would be protests. People would be on their horns, honking like, get out of the way. This is ridiculous. They just embrace it so well. And I just was very impressed. And I'm running along an age group race, like body semi-jiggling, like doing my best. And there's all these like crowds, like 10 deep, cheering for you. Just like you never experience anything like that anywhere else. And triathlon's a wonderful sport in that respect because you can be an age group athlete, represent your country, go to this huge event. It folds in with the elite athletes. It doesn't happen anywhere else. So I thought it was awesome. And that's why I flew 28 hours to just do it and then back again within like a 6-day period because I just thought I want to experience this. And it was wonderful.
You also had some pretty strong weapons in your start line, right? You had Stuart Hayes. So talk me through how it came about in the first place, because, for one thing, there's been some quite interesting chatter by the sounds of it about a few age groupers slightly getting the hump about all these past weapons coming back and racing the age group and so on, which, I can sort of see both sides of the argument, but fundamentally you've got to be quite chuffed that you're sharing a start line with these people, right? And also, so just wind it back to when was it a bet? Was it just something you kind of had in the back of your mind for a while that you fancied doing, or?
Well, I've been doing like just age group races for ages. Before 2017, and I met Macca and got the job on Super League Triathlon. Never even seen a triathlon, so just had no background in triathlon at all. But then you meet these people and you get surrounded by all these people. They're just wonderful people in triathlon. It's such a welcoming community. And then I thought I can have a go at this, and then you do one and you just go, that was really crap, I could do better. And then what's like, you just get involved in the community. Like it's just more welcoming than a cycling community or a running community, because everyone's a bit shitty at one of the three sports. So there's not as much ego going on.
Inbuilt humble.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone gets humbled in 1/3 of every triathlon. Doesn't know where it is, but everyone's different for everyone. But that makes it nice. So then I was doing age group races, and then actually I was doing other stuff as well, other sports. And then at Montreal Arena Games in February, we were at dinner. It was like -7 degrees. We're sitting at dinner afterwards, and Michelle Dillon was there. So, and Michelle, as you may or may not know, she went to a couple of Olympics. She actually won the age group event in Hamburg. That's her 3rd age group world championship. She went to the Commonwealth Games, etc. And she's one of the assistant co-managers for the teams in Arena Games. And we were talking about the fact that there's another one coming up, and is she going to do it? And she's like, you know what, I'm a coach. Like, do you want to do it? And I was like, no, I don't think I can.
Strong deflection.
I don't know, man. I'm like 90 kilos. Like, I don't know if that's legit. And she's like, I will coach you. We will go to this thing. When's the race? Like, when's the qualifying races? And I was like, you know what? Fine, let's go. So then she just put me on this insane training plan. Like, for me, insane, because I have like 3 jobs and 2 kids. And so it was like 15, 18 hours a week, which for me is a lot of time commitment. So I did that, went to a qualifying race here in New South Wales in Australia, won that from my age group, which I was like, I've never won anything before in my life. I've got the medal, and I'm like, I've been wearing it for like 4 days.
Kids must have loved that at least, surely. The crossing the line.
They
first.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Dad, apparently Dad's won an Olympic gold medal. Like, that's basically the vibe that they're putting out there at school. And I am not correcting them.
Can't quash that kind of, yeah.
No. It's foster the myth, create the legend. I'm basically an elite athlete as far as everyone in my school district is concerned. And so then suddenly it was on, right? So I got another mate of mine who I do a lot of age trip tries with. He came and did the race with me to qualify. So we went over to Germany together. And it just couldn't have been a better experience. So it was 80 strong Australian team. Everyone's staying in the same hotel. You've got like a bike mechanic, you've got a physio, and you just get a little taste of what it's like to be an elite athlete just for a couple of days. And, we're staying in the same hotel as the British team. So you're just sitting down at breakfast with like Beth Potter and Alex Yee and all these people. And you're just like, oh, it's nice to be on the other side of it just one time. So it's a lot harder, though. It's easy to talk about.
You were wearing the tri-suit at breakfast just so that Alex and Beth and that knew that, you're one of us now. And okay, cool.
I think they could tell that I was, one of them. Like, I weigh more than both of them put together. But yes, I had the kit on at all times. I'm wearing it right now underneath my jumper, actually. I just like the feel of it against my skin.
That's the thing, though, right? The suit is a major part of it, isn't it? Like, getting that through the post and just going, all right, this is on now. It elevates.
It's all for the gram, mate. All for the gram. The minute it came in the post, I'm like, bang, put it on Instagram. Don't put a lot of context around it. Just put the thing that says McCloy, Australia, and then just let people come to their own conclusions, which might be incorrect, but that doesn't matter because they don't know anything about triathlon. You get it.
Perfect. And did you not? Yeah, was your transfer in the company of Henry Schoeman as well from airport to hotel? I'm sure I saw a picture of. Yeah,
you have been stalking me.
I do like a good stalk before any.
You managed to not accidentally double tap any old photos. You got to be careful when you're stalking people that you don't double tap something from weeks ago.
How do you know? I've got about 5 accounts. I just go by default.
The burners. Very good. Yeah, so we ran into Henry looking lost at the airport. Again, he was like in the he's like this big. He's like, this is not a video podcast. He's little. And he was in like the unlimited legroom seat. And so I was like, classic Schoeman. But we've had a lot to do with each other over the years. And so we actually end up catching a transfer together and swapping elite athlete stories like we do, us elite athletes.
Just
normal elite chat. You wouldn't understand. It's about body fat percentage and how many. Well, I don't even know.
Where do you start that kind of, Henry? I know you're an Olympic medalist, but any tips for a 45?
I was giving him tips. I was like, listen, mate, you've got to
pre-race rituals, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like you should try having a whole German schnitzel the night before you race, like I did, and see how that goes. It didn't end up being great.
But as a project, did you surpass yourself? Are you sort of you're a man who likes to set yourself challenges and then kind of come away and just be like, yeah, that was great, and I'm gonna do that again. And
Yeah, well, I think like when you have daughters, and I do have two, and I don't think that I think they've got the same level of like genetic talent as me, which is not tons, but you want to make them, you want to be brave when you make choices. So like I just didn't think I could do this. So I thought, I'll have a go, right? And then try to show them, especially that like they can have a crack. And my 7-year-old's just done her first triathlon and she did not think she could do it either. And then she was so stoked when she did it. And like you've got to be able to lead by example in your family. And I like to try and do like one big thing every year so it doesn't just like slip past me. And I thought, I can do this. Now, as soon as I finished the individual race, I was like, that was terrible. I can do so much better. My swim was like 3 minutes slower than my best swim, which was ridiculously bad. And I just loved it. And as soon as I finished, I was like, I've got to do this again. So already I'm going to go qualify for the duathlon and go to Townsville next year.
Nice.
Because I just thought I can give it a crack. But in the duathlon, they're running like a 16-minute 5K, which is not possible for me because I'm fat. So that doesn't matter. I mean, you got to have goals, right? So that's the plan. I just loved everything about it. And I love everything about triathlon because it's an individual sport, but it's such a team atmosphere. And I think that's what I loved about that. It's so well run in Hamburg as well. And we just felt so welcoming and everyone was so happy to see you. And I just want to keep doing it. And my wife's like, oh my God, can we not, please, let's not go to Spain next year. But so I think we're going to go to Townsville and have another crack. But, it's also good to see how hard, like what it is like from an athlete's perspective. It's not exactly like what the elites are doing, but, I've been on the other side of it for so long. It's nice to see how hard it is. Like when that super sprint format's so hard, like every 45 minutes for like 3 times in a row. I just don't know how you can get up for that. So no wonder they were all shattered at the end, even though they're racing so short distances. They go through a lot, and triathletes, elite triathletes, they go through a lot too. Like to be able to put it together on a day like that, you have to be extremely elite in every respect, which I am not.
Yeah, so you started out calling more the motorsport side of things as well, right?
Yeah.
Was that was kind of the first love, was it? Or
Well, so I fell into it. I actually started in television news, and so I spent a few months going to like murders and drug busts and court cases and all. Like news is so depressing. It was just the most depressing time ever. And I'm not.
you're
That's
trying
not
to keep
me.
it in your true style, upbeat and sort of.
Yeah, I'm like, and there we are in the
like where
court.
you're going here, but it's not really working. Go to sport, and you're like, yeah, perfect.
No, I got 40,000 kilograms of meth. Like nobody. That's not what they wanted. I'm not a war correspondent as much as I'd like to be. So I went to sport, and then at that stage I was doing Formula One, so I was doing that for a while, and MotoGP and other motorsports as well. And then it morphed into rugby and cricket and Commonwealth Games and Olympics. I went to London Olympics and Rugby World Cups in France and bits and pieces. So I was bouncing around all different sports. I did a lot of golf too, which is a very different commentary voice. So instead of like Super League Triathlon, golf's like, I think he's got about a 9-iron here, and I think he's got about 180 to the pin.
And even then, people are going, "Shh, jeez, keep it down."
Yeah, exactly. Mate, just calm down. I'm like, I can't be any more calm than this.
I mean, listening to the Open on the radio over the weekend was one of those where you're just kind of, these guys are so good and they're just ghosting around, but half of it is just like the random chit chat. Well, and the tests, right? The Ashes. They had to fill an entire day where it just rained all day. There was nothing to talk about. And they kept going until they finally pulled the plug at 6 p.m. And you could hear, the like relief in all their voices that finally they were able to clock off and stop trying to desperately like find something else out of the ether. But
that's true.
But a good listen.
Well, it has to be, and they have to. That's why the very best get the jobs, So especially for that, that's hard work. Whereas when Super League started, it's every decision around Super League is how do we make it more exciting and more fast paced and better for television and to draw people in who don't necessarily care about triathlon, but they like a good contest and they like a good entertainment piece. So that was good for me. So even though I had never at that stage, I was doing all presenting and reporting. So I hadn't done any commentating ever. And Macca was like, we like you. We've seen a whole bunch of different people. You know, do you want to come and do this? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, do you know everything about triathlon? I'm like, yep, 100%. Didn't know anything at all. And then do you commentate as well? Or we've just seen a lot of presenting and stuff on your show reel. And I was like, yeah. Sweet. Never done it. So then like we kind of turned up to Hamilton Island, and I was like, oh, this is going to be bad. And it was great.
Debut. Baptism by fire. Like that I was just watching it back yesterday. What an opening shot. You've got two absolute legends of the sport next to you. There's a helicopter swooshing in just to get that perfect angle. You must have thought I was you were
bricking it. Like I was, because they were like, look, yeah, what you got? Okay, it's going to cost like $800 in fuel every time this chopper has to reposition. So don't stuff it up. Like, don't stuff this up. And I'm like, inside. But like, I'd gotten used to by that stage, like the live television, like you're inside, you're panicking, but you've got to like channel it into your performance or whatever, which you learn to do over time, but totally bricking it at the beginning there and kind of thinking. But that's the bravery thing. Like I said, like, I try and bite off more than I can chew as much as I can in all different areas. So then you end up just chewing harder, and then you figure it out, right? And then and then at the end of that weekend, I was like, this is amazing. I loved every minute of it. I felt it was a really empowering environment for the athletes and for the crew. And obviously Hamilton Island's a beautiful place. And then we didn't do anything for ages after that because various different reasons. And then we went to go to Jersey, and we did it again there on the other side of the world. And we did a chopper shot again. I was on top of a castle, and I was like, same thing again. But then we've gone, I think we've done 38 different events or something like that now with Arena Games chucked in. And I still get that same feeling. I love going there. Like when I kind of brick out my year, I find out when they're going to do this, and then I build everything else that I do around it, because I do other sports and stuff in between. But this is my favorite. So my wife hates it because I'm going away for like weeks at a time, but she understands how much this one means like a lot to me. I would give up everything else, but I love to do the triathlon and Super League stuff, especially. I just think it's really special, and the athletes are great, and you know them too. They're all great people. They're not the other sports. Like when I speak to like Lewis Hamilton or whatever, like he doesn't care about anything. So they are hard to deal with, right? They're hard to deal with. But in triathlon, they're just like super happy to be involved. So that makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. I came from boxing. They were certainly sort of less approachable and less, erudite, I suppose would be a way of putting it.
Yeah. We have football here. It's the same thing.
Not quite as, but yeah, like part of the magic of the sport and what makes you you can't help but get more invested in it is the approachability of the athletes and how much they love what they do, and that kind of shines through everything. And they just obviously want to just talk about it and don't have that, those kind of protective barriers up, I think. But then I suppose you have to sort of, as an interviewer or someone that works around them, you have to kind of put your own in, don't you? So that, there still has to be that professional distance that, I don't know, sometimes probably.
Triathlon's a smart people sport. It's not a sport where you can, routinely be averagely good and make $1 million. So people love it. Like the people that are involved, they love doing it, and they are generally well-traveled, clever, inspiring humans. So what more could you ask for in terms of people that you're spending, each day with? And we're on a tour. Like, you're on a tour with everyone, so you get to know everyone really well. You see everyone at breakfast. They eat 10 croissants. I eat 10 croissants. They go riding for 5 hours. I sit quietly until lunch. It works. It works for everyone.
You still get the nerves. What if you're thinking like, right, that Hamburg finish line, start line, there were 10 of them left, the men and the women, for the final round. The heartbeat comes on. Imagine what they've just been through and what they're about to go through. What is the equivalent of the heartbeat for you as presenter? What's the countdown look like as you're about to sort of launch into, for example, Hamilton Island or the Championship Series this year? And do you still have that like voice on your shoulder that just says, you might just forget every word in your head?
Oh yeah, but that's what makes it so good. Like, that's what makes live television good. It's the same. I imagine it's the same feeling, because you're kind of sitting there on the start line, and basically with television, there's two ways to approach it. If you're like the talent, right? So the talent, there are people who think that if they're the on-camera people, that they're the most important, and then they become prima donnas, right? And there's plenty of them, you know, and everyone just kind of hates them, but they have this job that's visible, so they think they're great. But I try to approach it like the opposite way, which is there's hundreds of people involved in a television broadcast, and I'm just like the one that represents all of their hard work. So it's my responsibility to deliver it well, because there's so much that goes into making good television that people have worked tirelessly at and never get any recognition for. Like all the producers and all the editors and all the guys that run all the cables and all the truck companies and all the, you know, tech guys, and there's heaps. And then it comes down to me to be like, okay, we've all done this work, and now my job is to like deliver it so that it works well, because if I stuff it up, everyone else's work isn't, you know, properly honored. So then in the last 30 seconds before we go on air, and I know there's going to be like, you know, 15 million people around the world, I'm like, like I still feel like that. I'm like, okay. And I look at Mac. Usually Mac is sitting next to me, and he looks at me like nothing ever phases that guy.
Why have you gone white, Will? Why have you gone completely?
Yeah. I'm like, oh mate, we're good. And he's sitting there having a lollies or whatever and not even paying attention, because he hasn't been involved in any of the meetings or whatsoever. So he just has to talk about the things that he knows. But I see everything in front of me, like the whole rundown. I'm like, okay, like I know I've got this, but I have that same heartbeat feeling. And then if I stuff up the first sentence, the whole thing's going to go awry. So just get the first 30 seconds out. I always write the first 30 seconds down, because it's always under some nice aerial shots or whatever. And I'm like, welcome to London and blah, 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 blah. And if I can get that done, then we're off, right? And then it's just like runaway train, and you got to kind of stay with it. But the beauty of like Super League, and it's with World Triathlon, you know, like the races are usually a bit longer. So there's downtimes and gaps, and where you've got to talk. And like Trevor's really good at that, like, you know, chatting along. And when there's a 1,500 meter swim or whatever, there's a middle bit where nothing's happening really. So, but then with Super League, there's no time to chat. It's 300 meters and they're going completely nuts.
Happening it's like somewhere. Chase is doing some butterfly down the middle of the pool, or
oh yeah. Well, I didn't know what to say about that. That was unusual. I haven't
unusual.
Seen that before. That was like a that we had, well, there's some fallout from that, but anyway, it's not important. But yeah, there's always something new. Man, guys swimming with their shoes on, or Johnny Brownlee diving into the water with his helmet on, or, you know, this is why we make it. We make the rules like that. So it really tests them. It tests them. And it's a great package that we do. But, you know, it's the athletes that make it. It's the same as your athletes.
Was the chase thing because it was so unusual, and there was obviously a reason why he was doing it how do you respond in that situation? And there's no contingency plan for something like that, right? Is that?
Well, I mean, he was upset with some things that, like, there was a technical or perceived technical issue or whatever, but there's nothing that we could have done about it. And it turned out that afterwards there was nothing wrong with anything, but it's just one of these things that happened in the moment. And he found himself a little way behind with no way to get back. So he thought he'd just do something a bit different. Well, he's a showman. But like, I just reacted in the same way that everybody did, which is, what the hell is he doing? You know? I try to start, because I'm a fan as well. Like, I think that it's important to have authentic reactions. You know, I tend not to think too much like, how can I spin? Like, what is my spin here? Like, what, you know, in any situation, but instead just like have the same. I think it's obvious that with commentators or TV, like if they really love it, like you can feel like they love it, and then you feel like you've got someone who loves it talking to you, which is important, you know, because you want that person to have investment, and so then you can have investment as a viewer. So, and I think we do have that, and I think that, you know, triathlon has plenty of people that are like that, because a lot of people come from having done it and then graduate into talking about it afterwards. So you really get that. And that's the beauty of having, as you say, erudite athletes who can then go on, and because sometimes in like football, right, and then you've got the football guy on who played for 500 games, and you're like, what did you think? And he's like, oh, you know, it gives you nothing, because he's been getting hit in the head for the last 10 years.
The Spanish and Italians and people seem to be very good at being able to do a pretty good, succinct and informative interview. It's just like there's certain countries, I think, that just doesn't seem to wash.
Yeah, the English speaking ones. Your one and my one.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. It's very hard to adequately cover a iron distance race. I say in their defense, I mean, I agree. Like, I look at the Ironman World Championships, I'm like, that could be better. And we did sub 7, sub 8, which is this big triathlon event in Germany where we had it was only 4 athletes in the race, though, so it was a bit different, but it was still an iron distance race. And we had to put a lot of work into making 9 hours of television exciting for people, because it's very boring. It can be very boring.
I suppose that had the obvious benefit of being having one very specific target, which but equally had very few athletes. So on paper, not very much to talk about. But for an 8-hour broadcast, it was brilliant, wasn't it? I mean, and the reaction to that was exceptional, and everyone, I guess, what it did have was a sky high budget and 55 people working on it. That that can't be the situation with every single race. But
no,
it did show that sort of other side of what, I guess, how it can.
What's possible, yeah. I mean, obviously, if it's going to be some regional 70.3 somewhere, it's not going to have that same kind of budget to it. I suppose you're right, but what we did do is prepare. So I prepared. We had 90 different pieces to run off tape during that 8-9 hours, and so I interviewed everyone in triathlon, and cut them into 1-minute segments. And if every possible contingency happened, we have something to add to the conversation, and we'd have things to keep the pace going. And what if someone crashed? And what if it was raining and they were way behind? And we ended up using about 8 of them because it was such a gripping race. But we were prepared. We were prepared for it to be boring and to be able to keep the pace up. And we also spent a lot of time on graphics. It was a lot of graphic information on screen, and some of it we didn't end up using but we had so much graphic. And then we had a second screen where people could log in and see everything, and graphs where everything was moving. And whereas sometimes Ironman, you see the first 3 people and you got no idea what's going on back there, zero idea. And then some guy on a bike is like, oh, I think that this guy is this guy. You just don't know what's happening. And then you want to know what's happening with the guy who's 8th or 12th, or your mate who's 51st or whatever. You just never find out. So there's room for improvement, but it's not easy, especially because you can imagine, there's lots of, there's constraints. But when we didn't have as many constraints, there's a possibility to make iron distance racing excellent as a product. But you got to be realistic in what you can do. Whereas we're luckier in short course racing because they do laps. It's easier to cover. They have timing mats, and it's you get more information. So it makes it a lot easier. Yeah.
It's quite interesting hearing the Pro Tri News crew, Chelsea Burns and co, and was it Yokohama was their first one, I think. And and they've been quite outspoken about, which was half the reason for doing it in the first place, right? Because they kind of, this coverage needs to be a different angle on it and so on. And they were cooked after 2 Olympic distance races. They were absolutely spent. And
I messaged Talbot and I'm like, where's my, because I saw it. It was Pro Tri News. I was message Talbot. I'm like, where's my invitation? I'll do it. What's up? And nothing, just squat. Didn't get an invitation. I was like, all right, well, we've only got enough for Mark Matthews. I was like, well, Mark Matthews, whatever. What about me?
What's that? Come on.
No, exactly. I was like, a guy who's really immersed in it and everybody knows him, or Will McCloy. That was the 2 options. But it's not easy. Everyone thinks it's easy. I think these guys did. There was a certain style to that which was cool, but they didn't have one guy who was driving it. They kind of just had this conversation style, which is some people loved it and some people it wasn't for them. So I just liked that there was 2 options, really. I thought that was cool. But everyone thinks they can do a good job, and I think those guys did a certain job which was good for lots of people, and then other people like Helen and Trevor and what they do, and obviously they've been doing it for so long. So Trevor's a bit endemic to World Triathlon. So you expect to hear his voice, which I think is a little like Phil Liggett or Murray Walker or whatever. There's a certain element of that for him. A little bit for me because every Super League event's been just me, basically, which is cool. And I hope it just goes on like that for 25 more years. So I think there's a certain comfort in that. Who you're going to hear when you tune into a certain thing. Look, hey, if someone offered me Trevor's job, I'd take it, right? Tell him that. You tell him. I'm coming for him. But I think that he does a great job, and I think that's why World Triathlon has there's a rusted on fan base who know what they're going to expect, which is, I think, is important.
And then it comes to the biggest one every 4 years, and the person who's on the mic, as is the case across all Olympic sports, I think, is not necessarily the person who's best informed and you're like, oh wow, what's happening here?
Yeah, in Australia we had doing the triathlon at Tokyo, we had David Warner's wife, who has never done a triathlon and just had no idea what was going on at all. she's like surf Ironman racing
going on there or something.
Oh yeah, I mean she's like Ironman racing here, like not Ironman, but like surf Ironman, like a Nutrigrain series, which is like a surf lifesaving, which is not triathlon, right? So I was
a bit sporty. You've done some endurance stuff. Come on,
I was like, oh no, why not? I was like, hello, I'm free. Nah, zero
everywhere.
Yeah. I know, but isn't that the way though? Because it's a moment in the sun for our sport, and it doesn't get the justice. It doesn't get the justice it deserves sometimes, because all those backstories is what makes it interesting, So the reason that when Christian wins, you're like, you need to know everything about what Christian and who Christian is, to make it mean something. And that's why, like, in this sport, it's like 90%. Background and study, which is what I do basically, just like study everyone and check out what everyone's doing on socials and know everything that's happened with them and all their results and everything. And then 10% actually doing the job, which is the fun part. But it's like doing exams, and as soon as you stop doing that, because I could stop and I could still do a pretty halfway good job if I didn't do all of that, because I kind of know everyone already, but then it doesn't do them justice, and it doesn't do the production justice. And also Macca would be lost because he needs to email me before every event, like one day before, and say, hey, can you send me all your notes? Like that one kid at school who he always does that every time. I just send it to him now. It's like it's 2 weeks of work. And I'm like, here you go, mate.
But then we get... Sorry, go on.
I was just saying, not only that, but then when we get to the event, he's like, hey, mate, that email you sent me with those notes? I'm like, yeah. He goes, can you print them out for me? I'm like, oh, all right. Come on, man. I said, I'll print them out. I'll just put them up in the commentary box, then you can read from them. All right, that sounds great.
And presumably the prep for the championship series has already started, but that thing of wanting to know the backstories and get, it's like the research for anything whenever you're talking about someone or something is basically never ending, isn't it? Like there's always that point where you've got to be right, I've got to call it here. I can't go down another rabbit hole or da-da-da. But there's nothing like just as you're thinking you've reached that point of like, okay, I've got this. And then you just find another little nugget and just a little angle or another question or something that you just didn't know. And it's,
that's always the good one though. That's always the good one. The one that comes just after you think you should give up and you've got enough information on Alex G to write a thesis. And then you realize this one thing about but because when you, for anything, like there's certain fans that know everything already, and you've got to not talk down to them, by continually giving them stuff they already know, and they're going to get bored. But you also have to tell people who are new to the sport something that they can hold on to. So, there's examples for everybody, but you're only going to really if you're watching a race, you're only going to really take one thing. If I'm talking about Vincent Lewis and I might tell you 15 things, but the one thing that'll stick with you is he's got a gigantic owl tattoo on his back, like it's just one little thing. And then you go, oh, you can connect it to that person. And then therefore you like them or you don't like them because of that one little tidbit that you got. And it might be something vaguely like no one really cares that he came X in the Rio Olympics, but that maybe it's that last week he had a bike accident or, he lost his shoes on the way here, like little things that make an athlete three-dimensional for punters. That's that little thing that you find just when you think you should give up, because you've just got a whole list of like what he did in the European Cup in Quartera, which is boring, but it's that like human thing that you find, and that's what allows people to connect to that athlete. And then that's And then that's what gives the whole thing a narrative, which I think is really cool. Like that. So that's when you've got to keep digging and dig and then do their social media thing and dig back into social media and don't accidentally double tap any photos, especially if it's someone in a swimsuit while you're doing research. And then that's where you can deliver them justice and hopefully deliver them some new fans, because that's what we're here to do.
And would you bet against Vincent winning in Paris next year? Obviously, injury being a big question mark, but it looks like he's going to race the test event, and by God, it would be a good story, wouldn't it?
Look, it would be amazing. And don't get me wrong, like I love Vincent, but he has to make the team first, and I think that's going to be a problem. Not a problem, but it's going to be a challenge, because when you look at who they've got, France are amazing, right? So Dorian Connings is there and Pierre Lecour is there, and there's someone else who's very obvious who I'm immediately forgetting.
Just the defending world champ, but that's fine.
Oh, yeah, Leo, that's the one. So Leo, there's three of them, and they're all epic. And so Vince has got to fit into that. And obviously the women are also amazing. They could have two mixed team relay teams, and they could both finish in the top 5. Like, that's how good they are, which is a great problem to have, but it's a tough one for Vince. So he's got to have a good test event, and then he's got to have a good Super League. He's got to stay injury-free, and he's got to go back to what made Vince great, what made him invincible in 2019 and 2020 was this swagger that he had when he just believed that he was going to win, and everybody else did too. And he had that kind of like a little dose of the Ali Brownlees when Ali was at his peak. Like, everyone just looked to him for a while and gone, how are we going to race this race around what Vince is going to do? And if he's there at the front of the bike, and it's not a fast bike, and there's a big bunch, we all know that Vince is going to outkick everyone at the back end. Like, we can't out sprint him. We have trouble outrunning him. He's going to have the best swim. And he had that, like, he's going to win. But after everything that's happened to him, how is he different now? Like, what's the new Vince going to be like after all this? And that's the question. So let's find out at the test event whether he's still got that invincibility that made everyone pay respect to him, and then him win races, and then it just continued. So it was like a spiral. So, I mean, what do you think? You tell me.
If down the, could that race be won or lost by someone like Vincent with all that extra experience and race knowledge? Could that be the difference if he was at the pointy end against a Hayden and an Alex, who on paper would be faster? Then if he's dictating that final 2-3K and able to blow them up, could that, or just get in their heads, or whatever the hell happens down those final few kilometers between athletes, when it just
let's hope it comes to that.
Some of them like pretending to be cooked, and some of them just look so in the zone. And then you see Georgia just finishing a race, and her eyes are frigging all over the place because she's just completely rinsed herself, even though she looked like she was just out for a casual jog at the time. When Georgia's the same. Like, when Georgia's on, she's got this like the T1000, people are too young now to even have watched the Terminator, but she's got this like serene run. And then you're like, oh, she looks like she's running like 5-minute Ks, and she's running 3-minute Ks, and she's leaving everyone behind. But it just looks so effortless for her in that moment. Again, she's got to go through this period now. She's going to miss the test event, and she's going to miss Super League, and then she's got to come back and try and qualify and do all of that stuff too. So, and then obviously they're together in Font Romeu right now, according to my research. So, and they'll be talking about that exact thing. So, it's hard. Isn't it a hard sport though, when you're like 33 or however Vince is, and he's like, who are these kids? It's like Jan Frodeno coming back and trying to win Nice, and he's like, who is Magnus Ditlev, and who is Gustav Eden, and how has the game changed? Like, I turned my back for 2 years and the game has changed completely. And that's the beauty of this sport though, like, it happens so quickly, and then in 2 years Alex here will be like, who is this kid? With some other kid who's come up, and it was in the juniors 2 years ago. So the bar just keeps getting raised. So it'll be really interesting. Paris will be interesting. Nice will be interesting. Pontevedra will be gripping as well. Like, can Hayden beat Alex? Like, I love it. I just love talking about it. I'm glad you rang me. No one in my house cares. Nobody wants to talk about it. Brilliant. Well, and we look forward to the championship series. Presumably, you're already kind of knee deep in lever arch folders of stuff for that, and it's going
to be huge. going to be huge. I can't wait to go back. I missed Toulouse last year. Toulouse was amazing. I was going to be like 30,000 people on the street in Toulouse.
That looked like that was my favorite course of the lot for sure. That looked.
Oh, me too. And I wasn't there. I was in Sydney. Oh. I was commentating it in the middle of the night with Macca in this dark room where we were like eating cake at 3:00 in the morning to stay awake. And then we looked at the crowd and we're like, oh my God, look at
why
that.
aren't we there?
Yeah. So this time I'll be there. Cannot wait for that. London first though, which is always an amazing event. So, and then Malibu, and then we go to Neom again, which is an experience, I'll tell you that. So it's going to be an exciting series again. And it's wide open now. There's changes to the teams and, Christian's coming back on board. I mean, we might have Gustav as well. I don't know at the moment. And George is out. So, I mean, I don't know when she's coming back. So there's plenty of question marks. And again, we see the Falcon up against Alex Yee. So we'll see how that one plays out too.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Will. It's been brilliant talking to you. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you back in the yellow and green of Australia pretty soon then as well.
Thanks, Doug.
Cheers.